Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Daytime Divas Season 1, Episode 4, and the name of this episode is Shut It Down. Now, we saw from the last episode that Mo got fired from the lunch hour, so right now they actually have a guest host on the show, and her name is Portia Camden, and she's actually played by Tasha Smith, and she's kind of like the Black Martha Stewart. I mean, there's nothing she can't do. And she's a lesbian, and she's the kind of woman that says what she means and means what she says. And we see off the bat that that Heather has some resentment towards her because the kind of image that Heather has, Portia pretty much has the same image. And Heather at first was telling the other girls, meaning Kibby and Nina, that, let's do what we can to get her up out of here. But later on, we see that everybody grows fond of Portia, even Heather. So they do the show. Portia is doing really well on the show. Heather tries to cut her off by talking about her album, for God's sakes, but Maxine dismisses it. It's like, yeah, Heather, okay, yeah, we're happy for you. Next. And we see also during the taping that Nina has been having morning sickness, and it's to the point that she keeps belching every time she tries to speak. And then it gets to the point that her gas gets so bad that she ends up farting on set. And Portia was one that actually kind of flipped it, and kind of made a joke out of it, so Nina didn't feel embarrassed. But yeah. That jump was pretty. That set was pretty crazy. Then, as far as Kibby is having a situation with her former car star, this girl named Maddie. Her and Maddie got into a fight on the set of her show Lacey and Outer Spacey, and Maddie filed a restraining order against Kibby. Well, the restraining order has been lifted, and she's actually going to be guest spotting on the show. And we see that Kitty's still working with Julian, her rehab coach, and he pretty much lets her know that, look, whatever happens, own your shit. Just say you, own you. Whatever it is, put you behind it. And if you do that, you can't go wrong, because she's getting like a lot of backlash on social media because everybody's, taking Maddie's side, and it's crazy. And then we also, in this episode, we get a lot of flashbacks involving Maxine and her husband Ted. Now, we come to find out Ted was the real mastermind behind the lunch hour. And we see that while she's like working for like ABC News or whatever, he comes to her and lets her know that the lunch hour has been picked up by the network, so she's about to have her own spinoff. And we even see that she wins an Emmy, but Ted is mad because Ted is pretty much now in the background. And then later on, we also see that her and Ted get into a heated argument towards the end of the show, which kind of leads to what happened to Ted, and what is it about that night that is making Maxine threatened, because Anna knows about it, and remember, Anna is trying to write that book. And we see through this whole episode, Maxine does everything she can. She does everything she can to shut Anna down. Like, for example, she had an interview with Sia. She pretty much goes and gets the tickets to see a show and gives them to Leon. Leon actually scalps them and actually sells them. And then when Anna comes to demand the tickets, the security throws her out. So then she lets her know that and so Anna kind of goes back at Maxine and lets her know, oh yeah, you should check out chapter 5 of my book. And thanks for trying to sabotage my interview with Sia. We're actually now going to have lunch together, so it's going to be more informal than meeting her, backstage at her concert. So Maxine calls, New York Weekly, where Anna works, and gives her a false address to go to. So she's driving all around town and she can't find where Sia is. and then we later on see that and then we actually see that that Maxine actually talks to the editor-in-chief of New York Weekly, where Anna works, and lets her know that I think that Anna is she's not really capable right now, and she's kind of like falling. Pretty much gets her sabotaged, where the New York Weekly fires Anna. So Anna pretty much lets her know, okay, fine, you fire me, you win, but I'm still going to write this book, and if you want me to stop the book, make me a co-host on your show. So we're seeing that Anna is playing just as much of a shrewd game as Maxine is. And we just saw throughout the whole episode, they both are going back and forth. Now, involving Kitty's situation, Maddie finally gets on the show. When she first sees Maddie embraces her and says, like, oh my God, you're my bestie, I haven't seen you so long, have a good show, bitch. So we're thinking that her and Maddie's good, but then while they're on the set of the show, Maddie starts playing like she suffers from PTSD, and that, the beating that Kitty, put on her years ago, she's still suffering from the backlash from it. So playing the victim and trying to make Kitty look bad. So Maxine gives Kitty the light and says, like, so Kitty, what are your thoughts on this? Kitty starts opening up, and she owns everything, and she puts, like, you put I in front of it, so you can tell she's taking Julian's advice, and she owns everything. She's like, oh yes, I'm so sorry that, that I was so insecure back then, because you kept telling me that I was fat, and I believed you, and because I believed you, it made me act the way I did. And she's like, I never said that. And he's like, oh yes, and I remember that and I apologize that I wasn't the best friend. I mean, after all, you did hang out with all of your other friends doing coke in your dressing room, and you would never let me in. And then she starts talking about, oh yeah, and I'm so sorry that I was so mean to you after you had sex with my boyfriend and gave him chlamydia. And then she says, oh, and I'm so sorry that your spinoff, from Lacey Not a Spacey only has 6 episodes, and I'm so sorry because it proved my point that you can't actually hold a show. And so I was like, Kitty was, and like it got to the point where Maddie's like, can we go to commercial break? And Maxine's like, no, continue, because it was juicy, and the crowd was just reacting, and Kitty owned it. And then afterwards, after the set, Maddie comes to her and says that you better watch yourself, or I'll tell exactly how you stayed on air for so long. Lord knows it wasn't your acting, slut. So I'm like, so Kitty must have been having sex with one of the producers on the show, or the director. But then again, that would be considered, because she was a child, so that would actually be considered pedophilia, as well as statutory rape. So that was rather interesting. And then we also see that Leon still kept his job, but Leon got promoted because, they can pretty much, what they had said is that Mo, being in her high position, she was sexually molesting Leon. So Leon kept his job, but he now has a producer segment. So right now, Leon is really feeling himself. And we see that him and Ramona keep going back and forth because, Ramona wants to be promoted. And at one point, Maxine was going to promote her, but then Sean Sean comes in and shuts her down and lets her know that, look, in order to keep, Leon at bay, that he won't sue the show, I promoted him to producer. So that just completely shut Ramona down. And we remember from the last episode, Ramona's been stealing stuff from the show because she wants to get promoted, and Maxine has been overlooking her. And we actually have a scene where her and Leon get into it, and she's like, how do you get to, how do you keep moving up? And he says that you got to be thirsty. You've got to be thirsty. And we even see that while he's doing this producing segment, he gets a text from Mo, and he's like, how you doing? it's the best that you ever had. And then, Mo's like, oh yeah, I'm just joking. I know who you are. Oh yeah, but let me show you what you're missing. And she sends him a video, and he's just like, oh, ooh. I'm like, yeah, you missed that, Mo, don't you? So that part was pretty funny. Now, involving Nina's situation. Nina's been having morning sickness. You can tell that she's, been going through the motions being pregnant. Sean is trying to be there for her, and he even tells her that, look, maybe you need to take time off, but she says she can't because even if she does take off, she still has some fundraising events to go with Andrew. Now, Andrew right now is on, he's pretty much, on the campaign trail because he's running for Congress. So he's been having all these events and has been making Nina go to all of them. So Sean takes it upon himself to go confront Andrew about this. Like, look, she's not feeling well, and as a producer, I think she needs time off. She needs to rest. And at first, Andrew's like, I don't know why it's any of your business, but he's like, look, I'm asking as a producer, could you please lay off of her, because I need her at her best. And then Andrew begins to like, oh, so are you asking as her producer, or are you asking as the father of her baby? Oh yeah, Nina didn't tell you that I knew about it? So the next time Sean and Nina sees each other, he pretty much gives Nina the cold shoulder and, is kind of brushing her off. So eventually after the set, Nina confronts him like, yo, what the hell is going on? Why are you giving me such a cold shoulder? What's going on? And Sean lets Nina know that she met with Andrew. And she's like, why the hell would you do that? It's like you're making it worse. And then we actually see that later on she starts having some pregnancy pains. And, he, at first Sean is there and he's kind of like, he's pretty much, caring for her. But then Andrew comes in and is like, this is my wife, I'll handle it. And we see that Sean is getting mad and he's getting jealous. So they pretty much he pretty much takes her to the hospital. We come to find out that she only had an upset stomach. So therefore, so then later on we see that once because they actually have this event, this Christian event where Heather is performing, and I'm definitely gonna get to Heather in a second. But while they're at this event, Sean and Andrew have a run-in with each other. And Andrew's like, look, I know this is messed up, but this whole situation is going to run on my terms. Because now you know that the mother of your child is a complete whore. She's also a liar, too. So, yeah, this is going to run my way. And while he's about to want to walk away, Sean punches him and knocks him onto the main stage, because about this time Heather's on stage and is about to perform. They completely disrupt it, and he gets up and he's like, well, as the father of Nina's baby, it's going to run on my terms. So now everybody in the whole room knows about Nina and Sean now. So I'm like, oh shit. It's just, the shit really just hit the fan. Now, Heather, on the other hand, Heather is having issues with her husband. Her husband is, as we saw from the last episode, she put her husband in the basement because he won't accept their son, and he won't call their son Ella, Brad Jr. And right now, their marriage is on the rocks, and she's not being validated by her husband. So we see that her and Portia, she doesn't get along with Portia at first because she feels that Portia's trying to take her spot. But Portia reaffirms her, like, girl, you got this. This is your lane. Like, I can never be you. Besides, I'm not even white, so I can never be you. But you need to own your shit, and you need to own who you are. So she gives Portia that, she gives Heather that she gives Heather the confidence that she needs, and her and Portia become very close. But then later on, we see that Heather starts to feel some kind of way about Portia. But then later on, Portia just lets her know, like, girl, you're not even my type. Even if we were the last people on Earth and we had to save the population, we would all die. You're not my type. And we actually see later on, Portia comes in there with her wife, because Portia's married. Portia's married to a black woman, so Portia definitely, so definitely Heather wasn't her type, but Heather felt some kind of way, and why she was so drawn to her is because Portia was affirming her, she was giving her attention, and she, you know, she pretty much noticed her. And then we saw that the pastor who was heading the event, and it's pretty much more of a more aggressive type of church, where it's like it's more open, you know, where they're open to gays, they're open to all different types of people. You know, they don't use the Bible to bash you. So she has a meeting with the pastor. The pastor and inadvertently lets her know, like, you're not really attracted to Portia, you're attracted to the attention that she's giving you because you're not getting it in your marriage. And next thing you know, we see that the pastor starts making a move towards her, and then, you know, Portia, and then like Heather, I don't know why I said Portia, but I meant Heather. So then we see that Heather pretty much, you know, at first is going along with it, but then she kind of slaps him and was like, I cannot believe you're taking advantage of me, you know, during this type of situation. You know, like, yeah, I thank you for affirming me, but now you're trying to take it to the extra mile. Then she slapped him again, like, and that's for being so damn cute. And then she runs off. So yeah, we see all of that going on. So yeah, the show is pretty much, you know, is going crazy. And then later on, we see, as far as like Maxine, we see that she's meeting up with William, the doorman, who's now her man. William's kind of letting her know, like, look, everything's going to be fine, you know, because I think William knows what happened that night that Ted died as well. So he's kind of letting her know that I got your back, you know, I'm going to be here for you, don't worry about it. But then, like, then we also see Philip again. Now, Philip is Maxine's neighbor, and he's a jeweler. And, you know, even we even saw when Maxine and Anna ran into each other, Anna mentioned Philip. Oh, yeah, and Philip definitely shared a lot of information. And then Maxine was like, yeah, but he didn't also share the information that he likes to collect cubic zirconias and then tries to sell them online like they're real diamonds. And then we see that she's kind of grabbing onto her bracelet because, you know, remember that Philip actually hooked Anna up with some stuff because he can't stand Maxine. So he was definitely sharing some tea. And then we see at the end of the episode, Anna meets up with him again, and Philip actually plays a tape, and the tape is involving the fight between Ted and Maxine on the night that Ted died. So we see that that's going on. So pretty much that's what I got for you guys. But if I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I definitely, you know, would love to talk to you about it. But yeah, this was a really good show. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with you next week for the next episode of Daytime Divas. So until then, everybody, take care.